I think it's totally fine to not meet weekly. That's just not feasible in our lifestyle with a working mom, a working dad,
right.
2 kids who are just would love, are just going everywhere. We're involved in church. We're involved in this. We're travel a ton. That's just not feasible for our lifestyle. And I think that's fine.
We've been doing this for 20 years and serving hundreds of families.
We're going to bring solutions to your situation.
How do you choose a financial advisor? How do you know who you should
That's
work with?
the value of that 210 core, moving everything towards a purpose on purpose.
Hey everybody, welcome to your Retirement Blueprint Podcast, the show that empowers you to live a life of financial confidence so that you can live your best life. My name's Carrie Stahl, alongside my co-host, Mr. Phil Cooper today. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to the viewers today. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Welcome in. I'm really excited about today's episode.
I am more than excited about this show. Our special guest is very, very special.
So let me introduce to you Mrs. Carrie Stahl. She is a mom of 2 boys, Kai and Cash, 6 and 3. She's the driving force behind 210 Financial. She happens to be Phil Cooper's oldest daughter and my wife. How are you today?
Welcome to the show, hon.
Thanks, guys.
Glad to have you.
Happy to be here.
Did you think you'd ever make it to this point?
Never thought.
Yeah.
Never hoped.
She's the one that made us make it to this point.
That's true. The truth behind all of this is none of this would have happened without her.
See, here's the problem with this intro, which there was no problem with your intro, but I'm saying we don't have enough show time to make the proper intro for someone as special as her.
Oh, brother. Thank you.
true.
No, she's a special one.
She is. Anyways, we brought her on the show today because today we want to talk about women in finance, and I think there's several different ways that we can take that, as we've been discussing. One of them is kind of like the personal finance route, like if you're married, communicating to each other, making sure you're on the same page. There's always somebody that sort of takes the lead more so on finances than others, and Carrie and I are so good at that we thought we were,
So you're doing a show.
we could communicate. Yeah.
That is not the case.
So maybe we can kind of go that way. The other thing that we talk about a lot of times is like what happens, or I guess typically women, I can't talk today. She's got me nervous.
Didn't know I still had that effect on you after 10 years.
All right. So what Kendall's trying to say here in a more eloquent way. And on a serious note, though, there are national statistics and there are local statistics that prove that the married couples, ladies outlive the men in most instances. Now, of course, we all understand that there's those instances where the lady passed away first, but in the majority of time, what we're finding is that the ladies are outliving the guys. And now, why is that a problem, and why do we need to address that?
Yeah.
I think it's not so much, Kendall, it's not so much your generation that has a problem with that. It's my generation and those who came before me.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And because generationally, there was times where my grandma and grandpa, if Gramps passed first, which he did, my poor grandma, she did not know what their finances were because it was a societal thing. The men just did it all. The gals didn't. They stayed home and took care of the children. They were very narrow in their responsibilities. It's not that way anymore.
Right.
And thankfully, it's not
certainly
that way anymore.
It's going away from that.
Yeah. So for example, Carrie is now the CEO of our company. She understands life. She understands finance. She understands leadership. She understands responsibility. It's just different. However, I still think we need to press this button, beat this drum to say if there's a married couple, we need both parties highly engaged because there's a likelihood one outlives the other for sure.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think it's generational. We see constantly the amount of widows that walk into our office who have absolutely no idea what happened in their life up until this point, and they sit across from you going, do I even have enough money? We're not really seeing that anymore as the generations progress. I think we're seeing a lot more involvement in women paying the bills. I think we're seeing a lot more involvement in women do the grocery shopping, which then correlates with tracking the money and doing the expenses and paying the bills and planning their vacations and that type of thing, which all kind of correlates together. So I think it's definitely a generational thing. But with that being said, I still think there is a little bit of the narrative of like the men does the finance sometimes and the women does different things like that. I think the key to that and this is going to be kind of a silly answer, but it's just like, you don't have to be in charge of the finances by any means, shape, or form, but you need to be communicated with what is happening.
I agree.
And us guys are really good at communication.
Yeah, we are.
So,
yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, there's plenty of money.
You know
We'll
what
be
I have
fine.
noticed? Before we get off this topic too far, I have noticed that ladies, and Kendall would agree with me on this, I think,
We'll see.
the ladies that we deal with, let's say it's a married couple, the women are so much better at planning, so much better at details, so much better at maybe organizational skills and things like that. Guys, we think we got it all under control. I'm going to tell you, if you're a guy listening today, you don't. You just don't. So your gal probably does. I haven't planned the last, let's see, I've been married. I haven't planned the last 34 years of vacations. I have not planned the last 34 years of meals in our home. It's just something about ladies that have this knack for planning and organizational skills that we need to listen to.
Yeah, I feel like I see a trend of it going that way. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but I feel like Kelly, your wife, is more in charge of the money, so to speak, in your house, more so than maybe you are. Is that the case or not? On a day-to-day basis or no?
She runs the bill paying department for sure in our home. Yes, absolutely does. We both have but as Carrie alluded to, we communicate that.
Right.
We keep a central spreadsheet and we talk about it. First Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
We have a 15-minute planning meeting. Hey, how much money do we have? Do we have enough money? Are we going to buy groceries?
Do we get to eat this week?
We going to get groceries or not? So we have a 15-minute once a month. We at least know,
right?
Generally speaking, hey, this is happening this month. This is what we have. This is what's going on. Here's the big things going on. We talk for 15 minutes, but she actually is the functionality of it. She's paying the bills, making that type of thing happen. But we're both in sync on this.
Has it always been that way?
Yes, it has always been that way. And there's another side of that. There was a time in our marriage when I was the bill writer.
Okay.
And it worked well there too, but it was communicated back and forth. Well, now because of her functionality here in the firm, she sits at a computer and writes checks all day doing things. That's just natural for her, where I'm not as good at that as she is. So, but there's communication. I think Carrie has hit the nail on the head. There has to be communication on that. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah. I think I've seen, and you have too, like there's been so many times where we've sat down with a different, like I'm even guilty of this in meetings. You'll sit down and you'll start talking to the guy in the meeting because it's kind of an assumption that that they understand where everything's at, right?
Yeah.
And you'll quickly find out if you did that wrong, right? Like,
oh boy,
if someone
won't get the case.
Yeah, if someone sat down with Carrie and I and they started talking to me,
game over.
She's going to be a little put off by that. Probably,
game over, buddy. Yeah.
I think that it's for sure. I think that it's a matter of, and I've preached this to the mountaintops, it's a matter of heart and head marketing, right? We talk about that here at 210. It's like, not only are we marketing in what we do to the people that make logical decisions, but we're marketing to the people that make emotional decisions. And that's the same in every relationship. There's some person that makes an emotional decision and there's some person that makes a logical decision. And so if you sit down in a meeting with me and you're just talking to my husband and you don't make me feel seen, probably not going to like you very much. I probably don't really want to do business with you. I want someone that I know that no matter if he's there or not, they're going to be able to take care of me, and be able to take care of my kids, my situation, my finances, and also that I can emotionally and logically connect with. So if you're just not talking, if you're talking to me straight logically, probably not going to connect. But if you're talking to me straight emotionally, probably not going to connect. There's got to be a balance between the two.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
See, I told you. They're just better than we are.
I know.
They're just better.
Sometimes
that was well said.
Sometimes every now and then I'm like, why don't you just do this? Because I think we're the opposite of you guys. Like, I'm more of the bill payer in our house, and we probably don't sit down every Tuesday for 15 minutes or whatever. But
I think that's okay though. Like, I think there's unrealistic expectations. I think Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, I think they bring unrealistic expectations to any sort of, there's obviously those different things, but I think there's a lot of unrealistic expectations that you have to sit down every Monday night and budget, and you have to sit down and go through your weekly expenses. I think it's okay if you don't sit down for once a month, as long as you know and have a general idea of, okay, we're going to spend this much on here and we're going to spend this much on here, especially if you're budgeting and you have an allocated amount to each. It's okay to not micromanage it all. just make sure that you have a grasp on it. And that's when things get out of hand, is if you don't have a grasp on it. I think it's totally fine to not meet weekly. That's just not feasible in our lifestyle with a working mom, a working dad,
right.
2 kids who are just would love, are just going everywhere. We're involved in church. We're involved in this. We're travel a ton. That's just not feasible for our lifestyle. And I think that's fine.
I've taken 2 things away from this already. Number one is the communication is paramount to any good relationship, especially in the area of finances, because it takes money. Unfortunately or unfortunately, money is the wheel that moves this world around. We buy groceries. We keep the lights on. We do those things. Raising children, those kind of things. But communication and all of that is paramount to health. But number 2, there is that statistic we came back to. The gals probably are going to outlive the guys in most cases. They need to have a grasp on what's going on, even at a 30,000 foot level. Even if they're not like my wife, even if they're not that granular check writing person, they still need to have a good concept of what's going on. Yeah. So they don't have that, oh my goodness moment when something happens in the future.
Yeah, I think having a plan, or not even necessarily a plan, a communication plan, like making sure you're on the same page is basically what we're all trying to say. And I think that looks different for everybody. Clearly, it's different for us than it is for you and Kelly. And I think a lot of times I would maybe liken it to if I sit down with somebody and they're like, well, how do you budget? Well,
what's a budget?
What's a budget? Yeah. Everybody, like, there's all the apps. There's all the different ways. There's all the Instagram, social media posts. Yeah. Right? Ultimately, it just needs to come down to, like, what are you going to stick to? And, what are you going to be able to commit to, right? For you guys, it's every month or week, whatever you said. On a Tuesday, for Carrie and I, it's probably in passing between,
picking up a kid here and dropping off a kid there.
Usually through an email, honestly. It's what it is.
It works for you
He'll
guys.
shoot me an email with monthly or quarterly, and he'll say, okay, here's updated everything, passwords and this and that, and our accountant and our lawyer and all the things that maybe
it still works
are much deeper than budgeting even. It goes down to, like, hey, here's where this is housed. Here's where we're at with our rentals. We have real estate. Here's where we're at with our kids' college funds, or whatever we're trying to accomplish. I mean, there's so many different things that you can lump into that, whether you go from the base of budgeting to a trust and a will, and you're looking at a lot more.
Yeah, and I think too that completely a little bit unrelated to maybe the topic, but it comes down to, like, communication and maybe tracking is, I don't know how this came up the other day, but I was sitting in a meeting talking to some clients, and I wish I remember how it came up. I don't know. Basically, it came up that, hey, I sit in a lot of meetings and talk about finances on a daily basis with folks, right? And I've come to realize, even though you hear this everywhere, the people that are, have some money and are organized and are doing things the right way, like, the common thing between all of them is they're tracking their net worth, or they're tracking something like monthly or quarterly.
Such a good example.
Like so, not necessarily what we're trying to get into right now.
You know
but
what,
I think
though? That brings up
into it.
Great point of conversation. So I've been married for 34 years.
Congratulations.
My wife and I dated, thank you very much. My wife and I dated for 5. So to say that I've known this lady for a long period of time is an understatement, right? 39 years of history. Guarantee you, this has never happened.
Okay, let's hear it.
I open up my checkbook and go, I call her instantly. How did all this money get into our account? Why do we have so much money in our... Never happened.
Never will.
It's always the other way, where I go, thought we had this, and where did it go? That is the communication key I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's never the other way. It's never, we have way too much money. What are we going to do?
No, you're sitting pretty. Everything's fine.
Sometimes that might feel good, right? But it's never happened. I think it might feel good. But the point of that is, we've got to learn to communicate. There has to be a systematic approach to communication in all things, or your relationships are not going to be healthy.
So what you're telling me is we're starting a marriage podcast.
Apparently. So I don't know if we should be the ones hosting it, but random, I was just going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Do you and Kelly have, like, a specific amount of money that you can, like, spend without talking to the other person about?
No, it comes down for us. It's a complete trust thing.
Yeah.
To say that we're maybe a little more established because we're aging.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So there's a little more flexibility. Our kids are
Yeah.
doing life.
Let's just say you got a little more money than you used to.
That's a nice way of saying I got a couple nickels to rub together. Okay. I'm not scraping by to pay the mortgage any longer. There were days, days, and then it was a matter of I need to go spend a few bucks. Can I do it? And those days are gone. But I think that's still critical if we want to get a new car.
Yeah,
we talk about it. You want to take a big vacation? We talk about it. And usually the conversation is she tells me what we're going to do, but we're at least talking about it.
We know.
Kendall, do we?
No, I was thinking about the trip deal you're going on, and I texted you the other day. I was like, "What is this on the credit card?"
It was a pretty big credit card
sizable amount.
It was airfare for like 3 or 4 people.
So is that considered communication when you go, "What is this?"
Yeah,
is that
was our communication.
Yeah.
And in my defense, I said, "Whoops, sorry, forgot to do that."
My bad.
Anyways, I know some people have like, well, don't spend.
I can see where that would work.
Right.
I do think it's good to have. I think it's good because also, I mean, if we're going down this marriage route or whatever, that can cause a lot of hostility. If your husband or wife goes and spends an X amount of, dollars, whatever that number is large to you, without speaking to you, and that can cause problems. And honestly, it could hurt feelings. I think that it could cause friction. It could hurt feelings that the husband or the wife may not realize that they're doing. But if they're not being consulted over something like this, it can make them feel like, oh shoot, how'd we miss that mark?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carrie skated by though because she paid for airfare for other people.
And then they paid me.
Really wasn't.
It's my daughter. She got to be
all.
No. They paid me.
They're paying us back. So I'm saying the bill wasn't as big as it really looked like. You follow me there?
No.
Anyways,
back to that point. I think if you're a younger couple,
yeah,
talk about that. In my instance, maybe it was a hunting apparatus that I wanted to go buy.
What do you
Are
mean?
you a hunter?
Yeah,
a shooting apparatus.
Okay, there we go.
I like my shooting apparatus.
There we go.
Let's say that it was something like that, and that was going to be in place of maybe putting money away for the future, for a new purchase of a home or something for the family. By all means, communicate that.
That causes a lot of resentment if it's not.
It does. But if you've got a little more resources and if you can go get that shooting apparatus it doesn't.
Is that what we call them these
apparatus?
days?
We want to be politically correct on this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you don't want to, if you've got a few more dollars in resources and you can buy that and not take away from something else, it's going to be case by case.
I just brought it up because that thing happened to us the other day or two ago, and then I know there are definitely people that talk about that when they talk about communicating with money.
Yep.
And I should have brought that up. Like, hey, I'm putting this on the card.
This is going to get good. Stay tuned, folks. It's about to get juicy.
Do not cut this part out.
Yeah.
I'm going to want this on.
And next topic.
On record. All right, let's go next topic. Let's talk about women in business, specifically in leadership.
My favorite
I'm a huge fan.
Where do you want to take it? Here, I'll just start here.
Yeah, throw something out there.
I'll just start here. I think a lot of us men are terrible at it, and the women are really good.
Well, it's obvious that we believe that they're good because Carrie's the CEO of our firm, right?
Yeah.
And
that's right. She is my boss. I work for her every day.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I believe so wholeheartedly in women in leadership that my daughter is the CEO of our company. And the reason for that is she's capable, but she possesses a skill set I certainly don't possess. And she does it in a way that is graceful and it looks eloquent. And she has communicative skills that either I don't possess or men in general just don't possess. Now, is that to say that men shouldn't be in leadership? No, of course not. Is that to say all women should be in leadership? No, of course not. But if a woman possesses those skills, she is worthy of the same level of opportunity that a man in leadership is worthy of.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason I am where I am, is because I have my dad backing me with that knowledge, and I was raised in that capacity, and I have my husband who's my biggest supporter. Not everybody has that. A lot of people have a lot of things pushing against them. And so I'm incredibly fortunate, and that doesn't go,
you are
past me to have that. But with that being said, I mean, again, we talked about this as being generational. I also think women in leadership is kind of a generational thing. I mean,
I think so too. I totally do.
It is you can kind of say it the 2000s, the 2024, we are a world of women leaders. I mean, that's just kind of where we're headed. That's kind of what you're seeing, where the world's headed. You kind of see that everybody's backing that. You see, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's where we're going. And so it's kind of like if you're not on board, better get on board because it's not trained. Yeah.
It's interesting. I have had the privilege of sitting on multiple boards of either ministries or businesses or something. I sit on boards of these things. And most times, quite honestly, I'd have to really ponder whether or not there has ever been a lady on some of these boards. But here's what I have found. This is an interesting thing. So I will go to a board meeting. There'll be 8 guys sitting around a table chewing on a topic that we just cannot come to an answer on some specific topic. And I'll go home and Kel will say, how was your meeting? I'll say, good, but boy, this thing right here, we can't figure out. And she'll say, tell me about it. 36 seconds later, she goes, well, why don't you just do this? I'm like, I'm calling the guys. Hey, I got the answer.
Yeah.
Hey, why is she on the board? I mean, come on. These gals are sharp.
Yeah. No, I know. I was literally, that was coming out of her mouth, I was thinking the same thing. It feels like things, and maybe it's Carrie because she's a get it done type of person, but I just feel like sometimes things just get done quicker. You know what I mean? We can sit there and spin on things for a while.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Anyways, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered? Has there been any challenges?
I think it's difficult with the type of personality that I have as just a human in general. Sometimes, like you said, I'm a very get it done personality. So I probably have a tendency to steamroll and not realize that I'm doing it. And so, but also it's kind of like a double-edged sword, is that someone in leadership also has to be able to do the hard things and say yes or no. And kind of like,
is that the motherly instinct thing, honestly?
No, I don't.
Because you can lay it out quickly for your boys and tell them.
Well, I guess that is true. But I also think that I see things differently in the aspect of I'm not being a jerk to you. I just want to get something done. You know what I mean? It's like when my boys aren't listening to me, I'm like, I'm not being mean to you. I'm just trying to save your life. You're about to die.
Quite literally sometimes.
Because sometimes my 6-year-old, who is the sweetest, most genuine, kind human there ever is, like, Mom, you're being so mean to me. I'm like, I'm not being mean to you. You're literally just about ran over by a car. So I think there's a differentiation between what is mean and mean spirited, and what is just the difference between that and having a knowledge and an understanding for sometimes we just got to get it done and we got to move on.
That's that end result mentality. You've already seen the end. You're just trying to get everyone else to move that direction.
Yeah. And for example, you could put my mom and I are 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
She would be a great leader in the sense of she is going to love and care and get things done, but it's just going to be in a very different approach to how I get things done. And that's not wrong. And you're going to see that in different types of leadership. It's just a matter of, I think at the end of the day, is if we can love and care and encourage our teammates and our team members to how they can be the best possible versions of themselves. And at the end of the day, if we can get that done and the job we want to get done, then I think we're really rolling.
Why don't you, I'm going to compliment you in front of the whole world, okay? So I think that you do a really good job of balancing all the things in life, okay? So you're running this firm, you're doing the mom thing. Our house is pretty well in good standing, right? There's some help there. Depends on the day, I guess. But how do you get it all done? How do you show up and be a mom? And I guess how do you get it all done is the question.
Yeah. I have
maybe advice to other women in your role that are struggling with it, or even, yeah.
Well, stop comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
That comparison is the
stealer of all joy.
It's the thief of joy. And I struggled a lot with that at the beginning of this journey that we're on here. It's like you'd look on, that our world is the internet right now. So you'd look on Instagram or Facebook or anything.
You're not a stay-at-home mom, and you're never going to be, basically.
I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm never going to be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm okay with that now. At first, I struggled with it because it seemed like that was what the norm, what people were telling me I needed to be a stay-at-home mom. I think I'm an incredible mom and a better mom because I work. I'm showing my boys, I'm building this business, I'm showing them a legacy. But at the end of the day, like, I will also drop everything for my kids. They know that they come first. But I think you have to get rid of comparison. Comparison is a thief of joy. You can't compare yourself to the lady on Instagram who's making sourdough and that's how she's making her living, because that's just not true.
Your bread's turning out great though.
I can't make sourdough to save my life. Let's just put it out there, okay? But like I said, all my friends that make sourdough, I will come and enjoy a cup of coffee and your sourdough bread with you. So that's my first thing. My second thing is you need really great help. You need really great team and family behind you. And I think it takes a lot for a mom to accept that. I think it takes a lot for, sometimes you feel like as a mom that your role and responsibility is to balance it all. And I think you need to throw that out the window and then go, okay, I know I can't grocery shop and get the kids bathed and fed and to school and lunches packed and run a company and travel and go to church and take them to Wednesday night church and then do all their extracurricular activities and then and the list can go on. It's just not possible. So what are your top 3 most important things? Well, one of those is my kids, my marriage, and then my business. And so, I mean, obviously my faith in Christ, but like if you're talking about earthly things. And so, okay, my kids, okay, what can I do? How can I outsource that? Okay, grocery shopping. If you have some extra funds, like have someone clean your house once a month, have someone come in and fold your laundry if you're able to. I mean, if those are the types of things, yeah, we don't have that. Those are the types of things I think if you're a working mom and you're not, whatever, those types of things help a lot. A great nanny helps a lot. A wonderful school district helps a lot, those types of things.
An awesome husband.
An awesome husband, 100%. But also at the end of the day, I mean, I think it comes down to keeping your mental health in check. I mean, you tell me all the time about how I need to get up and work out because I'm a completely different person if I don't. And keeping your mental health in check and keeping your body and your mind clear for all of the roles that you have.
Yeah.
And calendars. A lot of calendar work.
I almost
I'm
like a ninja.
Speak to the lady that maybe financially is not at the position to do some of the things you just talked about. I understand those are wonderful time savers.
100%.
Speak to the gal who's sitting there going, man, that sounds good, but I'm trying to make it to Friday, right?
Yep.
Speak to that gal. Give her some ideas. Inspire her on some of the things you've been able to experience in your own life that didn't cost any money.
Totally. I think that the first thing is if you want to go the kids route, if you have children, it's just being able to do like those fun activities with your kids after you've gotten everything else in check. It seems like, okay, you've worked all week. Now you've got to go do this or you've got to do that, but you also want to go spend time with your kids, but you also want to do laundry and you've got to do this. So it's like, how do you balance all that? And so I think one of the things that's like offloading some of that is being able to, sorry, you about to say something?
No, go ahead.
This is like our typical marriage right here. He's like injecting into
It was a great thought. I lost it though.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say it. Like early on is I would get up before the kids, and I think that is massive. It seems so simple, but it's like you get up before the kids, whether they get up at 6, 7, get up an hour before they do. Okay, get the laundry done, get the houses clean, and order your groceries because you don't have to go grocery shopping. That takes time out of your day. Order your groceries online, and then you can go pick them up on your way to go doing whatever you're doing with your kids.
Also, like, laundry doesn't have to get folded. Like if it's between that and going to the kids activity, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids,
you got 5 more minutes. I think it's just one of the things is like being able to get up an hour beforehand. And like you're saying, even if that's just to get your mental health in check, whether it's working out or doing a devotional and not even trying to tackle routine is so critical.
I would say figure out what it is for you too. Like for you, it's like organization, and if the house is a disaster, you're not good.
Yeah, I think
and like I can live in that.
Yeah, some people can live in absolute chaos and disaster. I'm not one of those. If I walk into my house and everything's not picked up, and this is maybe a little, someone's probably gonna be like, oh, she's OCD, but like, I like my applesauces stacked in the pantry a certain way, and I like my silverware put a certain way.
I see nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
I agree.
You're the problem over there.
I agree. So this is silly, but like if I have those things in check, I'm like, let's go. We can conquer the world. But I'm like, if it's not, it's like they compound on top of each other. It's if that's not done, then we look around and we see the toys everywhere. And then we look around and we see the emails that are piling up in your inbox. And then we see the work trip coming up. And then then it just starts to pile. And that's when it gets really hard.
Figure out your priorities. And you've always said that
I think that's massive.
You're going to build this business as big as you can, but you're not going to sacrifice your family, which is a great segue into the fact that you need to leave and go pick up Kai at school.
It is great. I have also said that I pick my son up 3 days a week from school. I can't do every day, but I can do 3. And that's way more than.
Yeah.
What?
So basically, we could keep going on this podcast forever and it would be great, but Carrie's got to go.
Basically, I have one thing to say. I think working moms and working women we kind of went down the mom segment, but working moms and working women are absolutely incredible and they hold a special place in my heart because obviously I'm one of them and I sometimes feel like I'm in a world of my own. However, the amount of respect I have for stay-at-home moms is off the charts.
Special people.
I have always said, like, I respect them probably more than a lot of people in this world because they are incredible humans who are raising incredible humans. And they're just, all the time. I say it constantly to Kendall.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks. I don't know if that's where you wanted to go, but that's where we went.
We said in the beginning, we didn't know where we were going.
I think we just scratched the surface of your wisdom.
Yep. I agree. We should do this more often.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, guys. Well, we always end our podcast with This Week in History. So 1968, This Week in History, the first 911 call was made in the USA.
1968, that was a fine year. It's a fine year.
You're old, man.
A lot of great things were made that year.
You almost... Did they have TVs then?
Black and white.
Yeah. 1972, Volkswagen Beetle.
Number one car sales in the world, yeah.
Overtook the Model T.
Yeah.
As the world's best-selling. Is that true?
It is
true. The
true.
Model T was around when you were...
Model T was not around when I was very...
I know I'm making you sound really...
Now that we're doing trivia, real quick, let's close with this.
No, wait. It says 1972. The Volkswagen Beetle overtook the Model T as the world's best-selling. I see. I get it.
The Model T had been around for 50 years at that point.
I was like, okay.
Okay, what car overtook the Volkswagen then is the number one car sale in the world?
I have no idea. I'm going to go.
The Ford Escort.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us.